Hello, I'm Gideon Butler-Smith, and welcome to Thought Leadership Thursday, where here at BAKERpedia, we bring in thought leaders from the baking industry to just share more about their company and what they do. So I am accompanied by Jane Tyler. Welcome, Jane.
Hi, Gideon. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Jane, why don't you just go ahead and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do, and about your company.
Sure. So I'm the managing director of Cybake. We supply bakery software. Until fairly recently, we've been based in Europe, and in the last 6 months, we've launched in the US. So relatively new here, but we're bringing something new to craft and artisan bakers in the US. So we currently work with retail bakeries, wholesale bakeries, and in-store bakeries. We've got a few large in-store bakeries that we work with. We predominantly work with craft and artisan, so bakers that are making products fresh for delivery on most days to their customers. So yeah, that's me. That's what we do in a nutshell.
That's so wonderful. Yeah, you've had anything but a slow 2020 business-wise. So over the 6 months, you came over to the US, but also you, in July of 2020, you got a AI company to partner with you, or you incorporated them, correct?
Yeah, that's right. They're partners. The business is called Cat's Eye, and they're specialists in artificial intelligence. They actually come from a banking background and have moved into the bakery sector. And what we've done is we've built an integration with that system, and we work with them as a specialist team to deliver AI solutions to the bakery industry. And I've got to say, though, this is new to bakeries. So it's something that most businesses don't use yet, but it's certainly something we see developing, particularly perhaps for retail bakeries, over the next few years.
Yeah. So I'm in manufacturing, and I'm already itching to see something like it in our fresh manufacturing. So, Jane, what made you? Your background is in programming or IT, and so what made you enter the bakery sector?
Right. Okay. So yes, I'm a computer programmer, and I may not look it, but I was one of the first generation of Windows programmers. So I'm talking sort of late 80s. And what happened was I was on maternity leave, and my uncle, who sold the older versions of bakery software, so we're calling DOS, if anybody out there is old enough to know what DOS is, he sold DOS bakery software, and he needed a Windows version writing. And bless him, my dad, who passed away earlier this year, he said to my uncle, tell you what, why don't you ask Jane if she can help you? She's got nothing to do at the moment. And I promise you, I thought it was going to be a 5 to 6 week project that would keep me busy while I was on maternity leave. And here I am 24 years later, got a thriving business, lots of staff, loads of customers. And so it's a happy accident that I got into it, to cut a long story short.
Man, oh man, happy accidents are a dime a dozen. But okay, I have no experience with DOS. I bloomed right when Apple took over the world.
Right.
But okay, we have a picture. We have a black and white picture of some old computers. Tell us a little bit about the story here.
Yeah, I'll talk you through this, right? So the way that I always explain this is, when I go to parties and people say, so what do you do? And I say, well, we develop software for bakeries. And you always get this kind of mystified look, like, why on earth would bakeries need computers, need software? And I say, look, bakeries were the very first businesses in the world to use computers. So we're talking 1950, okay? computers were developed originally for military uses. And there was a chain of bakeries and tea shops in the UK, in England, called Lyons Tea Rooms. And they decided to invest in a computer system. And what they wanted it for was exactly what bakers still today need. And that is to take all the orders from all their shops or customers of your wholesale bakery, take all those orders and consolidate them, amalgamate them to give them production requirements. And this is a massive number crunching task that bakeries need to do every single day. You've got a wide range of fresh products, you've got a bunch of customers, and if you don't have any software, you're sitting there manually working out what you need to make. You're somehow manually creating your invoices, trying to get them accurate. It's not an easy job. And bakeries, ever since the very earliest days of computers, have used software. Are your audience able to see that picture?
Yeah. Yeah. So we were able to see the black and white, and now we've moved on to the online ordering. And so that kind of shows us what your product gives, services.
Yeah, it's just sort of the difference, I suppose, between how it used to be with the old geezers and the big old computers that took like a huge room to fill. Whereas now people will expect to be able to do things on their cell phones. So the bakeries customers can place order on their cell phones. The drivers can use their phones to make paper-free deliveries. And it's just an indication of how things have moved on, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, talk about thought leadership. What was kind of a barrier breaking moment for you in 1998 you created Red Black, which is the software. I had to do my research, and so tell us this groundbreaking moment that you had of like, this is going places from big computers to handheld devices. What made you stick with technology as the movement?
Do you know what? I think it's quite simple. I think it's that the bakeries need it. They have to have technology. And then what we've decided to do is to try and keep pace with the latest technological developments. Because one little problem that bakeries have, and you definitely see this in the States quite a lot, is that because bakeries actually invest in technologies quite early on, they're early adopters of technology. Because they need it, they buy systems when they first come out. But that does mean that quite a lot of bakeries are on rather old systems. And you do see this quite a lot, and you'll go into a bakery office and you'll think, oh my goodness, look what they're using. And it is software built in the 80s very often, which is when I first started developing software. And I hasten to say, I do not do any development anymore. I have a great team of developers.
Yes.
And I wouldn't go anywhere near it now. My role is to develop the business. And so I guess for us, it's all about making use of the very latest developments. So, everybody uses cell phones. People expect now to maybe route optimization, sorry.
Yeah.
That people would expect maybe to do that using Google Maps. So we integrate with Google Maps to facilitate that.
Yeah.
So always trying to keep pace with the latest technology is what we try and do, basically.
Yeah. Your company merging bakery art and science and history and tradition with beautiful technology is exactly what the industry needs. If my coworkers listening, hey, we need this. But I have a question for you. We know that there are trends with bakeries and snacks with consumer demands, but what have you seen been a trend like technology wise that you hope to maybe capitalize on? Maybe it is the cat's AI.
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty much bang up to date with most of our technologies, but I do think that the AI one is one to look for. So we have that all ready to go. We're really waiting for bakeries to want to go down that line. So to be clear, the main reason, I guess you realise this, the main reason you'd use AI in a bakery is to forecast demand. So if you're a retail bakery chain, you're needing to predict how much product to make for each shop every day of the week. That's a huge task, and it's one that you can't really expect a human to do extremely well.
Right.
You might have a great shop manager who gets it right a lot of the time, but if you've got 10 stores, 20 stores, 50 stores, how can you expect all those managers to be doing the maths every day to predict how much of each product they need in that store every day of the week, given that obviously there's trends during the week as well as any sort of ongoing promotions and all the rest of it. So what these AI systems do, what Cat's Eye does, is it takes the sales history, it takes weather, it takes events, holidays and things like that, and it all that information in to then predict what you're going to sell. And obviously from that prediction, we would then calculate the production requirements. And that works also, it has to be said, that is also relevant to wholesale bakeries. So it's a little bit different, but particularly if you're supplying the large retailers, and you're wanting to try to predict what they're going to be ordering from you, it's quite possible. And obviously, sometimes you don't get much advance warning of what they're going to order from you.
Right.
So, so using this Cat's AI system, that will help you work out in advance what you're going to produce. So you can get ahead of the game slightly. Because the fundamental problem, put it in a nutshell, is bakeries generally have to start making product before they actually know how much they need to make. They're starting the process before they actually know what the total numbers they need to make.
And it's like a rubber band, like holding this tension with shelf life and fresh and artisan. So especially with all of your clients, they have a small window of opportunity to produce, but not overproduce. And so that, you talked about your career being a happy accident. There are few happy accidents in the fresh bakery. So we had the business intelligence picture. That you shared with us on the screen. You feel free to kind of walk us through that or explain just more of your service that Cybake offers.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so Cybake is what's called a software as a service system. So it's cloud-based, but it's not just that it's cloud-based. It's based on kind of the latest cloud architecture. And what that means is that we can pull in technologies that have been developed by other businesses. So this is a perfect example you see in front of you. Now, business intelligence, that means effectively management reports. So it might be reporting on your sales, reporting on your profit, just to make it clear, reporting on inventory reconciliation is another good one. I think the example I've given you there is a profit analysis.
Right.
The reason I put it up there is because it looks great. You've got graphs, you can drill into all the information, and it's very accessible information for bakeries to use. But the point is that the tool that we've used is something called Microsoft Power BI. So we're using an extremely powerful BI tool that Microsoft have developed, slightly bigger than us, it has to be said, as an operation. And we can take advantage of their huge power, expertise, whatever, and we can then develop our reports using their tools. So Yeah, that says it in a nutshell, really. And so it's similar to the example I gave earlier, whereby for route optimization, we can use Google Maps, and that's embedded in Cybake. You're not going off into something else. It's part of Cybake. So all these great tech, there's these great technologies that are now can be made part of a cloud-based system.
Yeah, man, the cloud-based is so important because that eliminates any, you know, extra hardware at the bakeries. You can just upload it to whatever hardware that you have, and it cuts out possibly any like middleman or ITs like to come in and install. And yeah, that's correct.
Absolutely, yeah. It's all, the software is all hosted. It's actually hosted on Microsoft Azure. Again, really, we're resting there on the strength of a very large corporation to provide the platform. But what that gives our clients is a huge amount of security, because obviously you've got, the system is backed up constantly, multiple times. You don't have to rely on some spotty young lad in the office to back up your system onto tapes, which I have to say was one of my early jobs actually in IT. I had to take tape backups back in the 1980s, but those days have gone, and really everything now needs to be on the cloud. And it's been very interesting actually in this last year in terms of the demand we've seen for our systems. Now, obviously, when COVID first hit, it was scary times, wasn't it, for businesses? You know, what's the impact going to be? And actually, very interestingly for us, it's been pretty positive actually, because bakeries have now, they really see why cloud-based is essential. Nobody now would buy a server-based software package. Nobody. So any lingering doubts people might have had about going for internet-based software have just dissipated. So that's really good. And it's just I don't know, I've lost my train of thought slightly, but I think also the reason we've done quite well this year is that bakeries, for not such good reasons, have got some time on their hands at the moment.
Yeah.
So we've actually found quite a few bakers have come to us and said, look, now's the right time for us.
Yeah.
Often they're so busy that with the day-to-day job, is extremely hard to take that time to implement a system, which is going to make their life easier. But how are you going to find that time to do that? And actually, at the moment, some businesses do have the time to do it. Yeah. Yeah,
I'm right there with you. So hopefully potential clients right now are listening. So do you charge based on per user or on per company?
We charge a monthly fee per company. Okay. That fee is based on how many modules you use. So we let people start really small, because we want to let even the very smallest bakeries use Cybake. So I'm talking startups, maybe wholesale bakers that have got to, let's say, 10 to 15 daily customers, daily deliveries. It's at that point they start to feel the pain. It's like, this is a lot of maths to be doing every day. This is a lot of invoices to be manually creating. So we want the very smallest bakers to work with us. So we have this kind of core package that people can take, and then they will add on recipes probably quite soon after that, because that's obviously pretty key. They might then take purchasing further down the line. Yeah, specialist retail module for the retail bakeries out there. So yeah, we try to make it really accessible by having it based on a monthly fee that flexes according to your needs. Yeah,
man, that is so convenient. So do you offer online tech support, or like how would a company get it and then train?
Right, great question. Yeah, so actually, we've tended to move in recent years to much more online training. Mm-hmm. Originally, we used to do everything on site. It was the way people expected it. You'd go into their office and you'd work with the staff. But actually, we've realised that it's easier for busy bakers to do it online, because rather than having somebody coming into the office for a whole day or 2 days to train them up, Instead, they can take half-hour or hourly slots of training and spread it over some time. So we do tend, particularly with a smaller bakery, to do just about everything online, and that keeps the cost down as well.
Yeah.
You've got to imagine. So we've got teams of sort of software implementers. They're experts in implementing the software and training people, and they hook up through software like this, you know, through Teams software, and have meetings where they train people and get them up and running. It's got to be said, the software is actually really easy to use. So most of the effort when we're setting up a new system goes into understanding how that bakery works and how they need their production reports to appear. How do they do their packing? So we look at what they currently do, understand what they currently do, and then we set up Cybake to kind of fit the way their business works. And actually, from a training point of view, it's often quite self-explanatory. You know, we take people through it all bit by bit, but nobody really struggles, I think, in terms of the training side of things.
Yeah. If people can download an app on their phone and kind of walk your way through that, you should hopefully be able to download Cybake and train yourself and learn it, because we don't need any more paper. Speaking of no more paper, I know at my job, we have a whole fleet of truck delivery drivers, and they take all their papers and they just go. So I'm setting you up here because we have we have the picture of your paperless delivery. If you want to walk us through that and that part of your business.
Yeah, this is a great add-on module that people really do like. So this allows drivers to just use their ordinary cell phone, and on that cell phone they see a list of all the drops they need to make that day. And when they arrive at the client, what they can do is they can, if needs be, amend the quantities that they're delivering. And any bakery listening to this now will know what the problem is. It's very hard sometimes to exactly send your customers what they're expecting, particularly if it's fresh goods that are going out every day. So you might have had to short deliver slightly, or maybe somebody's dropped something on the floor at the bakery or as they're delivering.
Right.
So there's a lot of manual adjustments to orders that happens. So the customer's ordered 100 croissants. They've actually only got 98. Okay. So what happens is, I bet this happens in the business you're talking about, Gideon. The driver then has to amend the shipping note or the invoice.
Yeah.
They got 2 less, and then somebody back in the office has to then either adjust the credit note or change the invoice or something. Yep. So this allows the driver to make those changes, which is a huge time saver in terms of the head office. And then what they do is they take a signature, which is a proof of delivery, or they can take a photo, which is also a proof of delivery. And again, that's time saving for the office. So if a customer rings up and says, hey, I haven't got my goods, there's the proof in the head office sitting there, either the signature or the photo.
Man, I can just see how beneficial this is. Yeah, because we have stacks of credits, upon credits. So Jane, you and I could talk probably all day, but last question for you.
Go on.
Give us all of your wisdom on leadership today.
Oh, goodness me.
for the baking industry.
That's a great question. I think for me, it has to be about authenticity. I think if you can just be yourself and just be your natural, authentic self, people are going to trust you. And I think trust is the basis of any successful business. So if your staff trust you, your clients trust you, your suppliers trust you, you can go an awful long way. You can cut out an awful lot of, well, let's say nonsense, if you can work on a trust basis. Trying to find the right word for it. So yeah, I think if you can just be yourself, just be authentic, you will get high levels of trust with the stakeholders in your business. And I think that's a key to being a great leader.
Yeah, man, I could not have said it better myself. Trust, authenticity, transparency. These are all things that you are embodying that only speak directly to the heart of my generation, which happens to be the future of the industry. So BAKERpedia listeners, this is Jane Tyler, Adder Connector. Thank you for joining us on Thought Leadership Thursday. And I'm Gideon, and you can link up with me here on LinkedIn. And we will see you all in the forums on BAKERpedia.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.